It's been 30.
At least.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first meeting of the year for your Prior Lake Spring Lake Watershed District. As the first meeting of the year, this is also for many organizations known as its annual meeting, and so you will see some of the things that we are going to act upon tonight are year-long appointments, representatives to this entity or that entity. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And you might ask yourself, normally there are 5 up here. There are only 3. We have President Loney and Manager Toffanelli are unable to be with us tonight, but we have taken an oath to do an especially good job, the 3 of us here. So we do have a quorum, so we're able to still act. Let's start right down the agenda right away. First, I'd like to approve the agenda. You've all received an agenda packet from the staff. Staff members, are there any amendments to the agenda that you're aware of? Okay. Members of the board?
I move to approve.
Okay. And a second?
Second.
Great. Okay, we got a motion second. No discussion, I presume. All those in favor of the agenda as proposed signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Okay. And prior to each formal activity in the meeting, we have the opportunity for public comment. I see we have the city's assistant city engineer in the audience, and I know you're here for an agenda item, as I recall. And we've got Commissioner Wolf back as well. And you're our new representative from Scott County for the whole year. Great. We look forward to working with you. Okay, otherwise, I see no one in the audience who has any public comments. So let's assume we've gone through that. Now we've got old business and new business. Staff, you want to give us a report on programs and projects and their updates?
Thank you, Manager Boyles. I'll kick us off with an update from the programs section of the watershed. Within the monitoring and research program, we completed the SWAG monitoring, which stands for Surface Water Assessment Grant, that was provided by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. We're prepared to continue staff-led lakes monitoring in 2026. Within the stream monitoring area, we will focus monitoring components on iron-enhanced sand filter monitoring, stream restorations, and stormwater inputs for 2026. Also continuing work on watershed loading within our WSKI database platform. If you recall, we voted on or accepted a new dosing change within our ferric treatment facility. So with the rest of the retrofits, this dosing was approved for increased roughly double during June, July, August, September. So we did some really quick calculations to look at what that new dosing curve provides. So if you look at the very bottom, we achieved 77% percent change from pre-treatment. So that's overall, that's really good removal rate for our system. That this data table shows of through September 2014 and 2025. There are numbers that show really high removal rates, such as 2023. This is skewed by a really small size due to the drought. So that's only 4 samples taken in June. So very low water flow coming through, and sometimes that can contribute to data showing really, really positive removal rates. So 2022 also had a pretty short season, but in 2022, the precipitation were pretty stable, so we were able to treat a lot during that year with not a lot of bypass. You know, it's kind of hard to explain some of the data just because there's so many variables, but overall, what we're seeing in 2025 was a really positive change in our curve, and we'll learn more in the coming years on how well this new change affect our program. So we'll keep monitoring this and provide updates in future years.
I think you provided an explanation, but what happened in 2017 with the minus 15%? Dry or
You know, I
didn't even have the
there was a lot of data available in 2017. I can't explain what the reason for that low
so extremely
performance.
low.
It's really quite low.
Other questions?
Our carp management program has really consisted of us tracking the last 2 months. So on December 9th, these are the locations of our radio tagged carp. And then I'll go through, I have around 6 weeks of data. The carp just kind of bounce around within the lake. So on the 15th, they're right around here. And I should mention that we have an increased number of tags because our focus is on Spring Lake, so more than usual. On December 30th, they're still scattered. January, see sort of an aggregation in that northeast corner. It's not ideal, but you can see they pretty persistent right there. We've spoken with our netters, and they're not interested in saying area obstructions on the bottom of the lake. There's some rocks over here, and it makes it challenging for their nets to go through. You can see that aggregation continues. We're going to work with our consultants to try alternative methods to remove carp here. That may include, using underwater speakers to move carp, gill netting, or working with commercial netters to try and, persuade those carp to move out of there with other nets. So I think that's it for carp and the programs update.
Any questions at all? A foolish question. Consider the source. Are those likely the same carp in the same area? Do they, or could it be, or don't you know?
No, we do know those have been consistently the same carp within that area. Interesting fact about this: many of these carp were radioed on the same date, and they all had around the same age. So it seems to be
Interesting.
a pod
Pot of carp.
of carp.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to jump project updates, and it's winter, so I'll be a little briefer than other times of year. And I've highlighted the ones we'll talk about, but we'll just walk through them. So the first thing to touch on is that our iron enhanced sand filter at Swamp Lake came in under budget. We got really competitive construction bids, allowing us to complete it significantly under budget. We had 2 grant funds that supported that project, and one of which, the watershed-based implementation funding, we'll be able to use to transfer the money that was unspent there to another project that benefits the same, which is Spring Lake, impaired for nutrients. So we somewhere between $30,000 and $60,000 that we'll be able to just start our Spring Lake West or Highland filter project and support furthering design. We're advancing design right now. Danielle's managing that project, and we're hoping to build it in 2027. So we'll seek additional grant funds to support the construction of that project as well, but it's always good to have some money to put to use when you have a project. So wanted to share that good news. As well as a project where we've had success in the past, partnership with Soil and Water. In 2024, we did phase 1 of a buck stream stabilization. So that's the whole section the air was pointing to. The green line is sections of the stream which are stabilized. So we did a longer section in our project. A little bit to the left, there's a short landowner did themselves. But Soil out to us early this year, actually late last year, and said, we have some grant funds for stream bank projects if you have any ideas. And this entire stream suffered erosion and undercutting. It gets fast, and so we thought, well, let's reach out to another landowner in another section. So here's an example of what we did in phase 1 to kind of smooth out those terrace, the undercutting, and reconnect with the floodplain. So I've pointed to on the map 2 different potential sections of phase 2. We've spoken with one of the landowners there to continue looking at what that would look like. We have somewhere around $60,000 of grant funds from Soil and Water to support this. It's not currently in the Watershed District's annual budget, but I would guess that construction would happen in 2027. So we're just going to continue to look into this, depending on how far that money could go. Maybe we do both of those leftmost black sections, or just the one which between 2 green is the higher priority if we have to choose. So I just wanted to let you know we're kind of looking in this, and you'll hear more about that as we go. And lastly, I wanted to give you an update. Last month, I ran through some changes that you can expect to see proposed in this year's cost share doc. Forgot to update that. We'll be adopting this in likely February along with the Soil and Water contract. And last I went through these notable changes, a little bit of tweaking of rates for practices, contract terms, in cases where we have found that those lengths of time are not as real or effective for this. Updating to reflect some new grants that Soil and Water have, and then increasing a threshold for Soil and Water. The Watershed District will maintain their threshold at 10,000, so it won't affect what you all see here. But I wanted to note new, which we discussed with Soil and Water staff, kind of when we look at the year, and this has been a recurring issue, or we've been trying to figure out and workshop some solutions. But essentially, when it comes to farmer-led council projects, those practices are really dependent on rainfall. So in a dry year, farmers may apply to say, I want to put 100 acres of cover crop in. And if it comes fall and there's no rain in the forecast, they're not going to waste their money putting cover crop in because it's not germinate. There's not enough moisture in the soil. So what happens is that is dedicated towards those 100 acres. What water currently has to do is find a way to reallocate for the next year, otherwise it becomes lost. What we've found is that in dry years, it might be lower, but next year, if we have rain, we have more demand than we could from just that year's budget. So they've been doing this administrative filling around of funds for several years now to try and cover the practices we want to support. So we discussed the idea of creating an unofficial reserve, essentially allowing them, if someone does not complete those cover cropping acres, for example, due to drought or something else out of their control, that would go in kind of a pool that could be used for another conservation practice in the following year or in that year if someone else has need. So the idea is just to avoid administrative headache, pulling it around, really changing we fund. It's just reducing paperwork, allocating staff time towards the actual practices. So you'll see that proposal in the upcoming master services agreement and cost share docket, and we have proposed basically a $15,000 cap towards that. So that allows for some bounce, but once we start getting too much built up in that pool, we at the watershed district look at our annual budget and say, okay, we have more buffer than we need, we can reduce next year's budget. That's our proposal. I wanted to just let you know that you'll see that, and that will likely come through next month. So we'll be at the where that comes through. So.
Thank you. Incidental? Gotcha.
Yes, so I just want to say thank you for working with the Soil and Water Conservation District. I mean, these are two good examples, I think, that they share, that they have a grant that we can potentially use for the stream, and that's what made that Box Stream Project 1 so successful, and the landowners were so happy, and financially it came out okay, and that's because, and those money would have disappeared had we not done it. That was a very good, so I'm glad that we look forward to it, like we might be able to repeat that. Mm-hmm. And then this thing about with them on how to allocate the funds optimally, I think that's a very good thing too, you know, so that we give the best benefit to the landowners. So, thank you.
The picture there, I should know what it is, but I don't.
I don't know, that could be a Long County Ditch 13 split, but I don't know, it's a picture from a drone.
It's a nice shot.
Mm-hmm.
Other programs or anything like that? Nope.
On to Danielle.
Okay.
Yeah, so this time of year is pretty quiet for education and outreach as we plan our 2026 program, but I did want to share with you information about Winter Salt Week. It's a program hosted by Wisconsin Saltwise, a week dedicated to raising awareness about salt pollution and reduction solutions. So it's next week, and there are free webinars every day next week, Monday through Friday. So if you go to wintersaltweek.org, you can find these over kind of the lunchtime. Also locally, CA is hosting a workshop for community leaders, such as board managers of watershed districts. It's an online workshop. I put a QR code here, but you also can find it at wintersaltweek.org, and it's under the local programming tab. Yeah, I just wanted to share that out. It's worth checking out. That's it.
Further comments at all? Okay, let's move on to our next agenda item then. Item 4.2. Permit.
Manager Boyles, I'm sorry. We're still good. I have one more.
Oh, you
thing
do
to
have
share
some
with you.
additional. I'm
Yes.
sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
This is unusual, but I do want to provide an update here. So metro cities, townships, and counties are required to update their comprehensive every 10 years, and we're coming up on that cycle now. And part of the comprehensive plans is another plan called a local water management plan. This is just a cover of the city of Prior Lakes, of their local water management plan. And the counties and the townships all have to have drafts of their plans into the Metropolitan Council no later than December of 2028. We have a role in this process. So watershed organizations, or which also includes watershed districts, are now responsible to review and approve the local water management plans for each of the local government units within watershed district. So once the LGUs submit their plan, draft plan to us, we have 60 days to and provide an approval or reject or not reject the plan and send it back. So what we're going to be looking for when they submit their plans is to see that their plans are meeting the requirements of our water resources management plan. And then just at a high level, you know, what they'll be looking for is the LGU's plans must kind of include a summary of priorities and problems in the community, structural and programmatic actions to address these priorities and problems, and clearly identified funding mechanisms to fund the problems. So concurrent to our review, the Met Council will also be performing a concurrent review. They only have 45 days to do their review in, and that will make sense in shortly. And we're not allowed to approve the plans until we've also received Met Council's review comments. So they provide a lovely flow chart about how this all will work. So the cities, townships submit their draft local water management plans. They're going to send it to Metropolitan Council for review. They're going to send it to us. County has an approved groundwater plan. It has to be sent to Scott County. So Scott County is just starting the process of developing a groundwater plan, as I'm understanding. I'm not sure if it's going to be done in time for this process. So like I said, the Metropolitan Council, 45 days to prepare their and then submit them to us. If the county has to, they also have 45 days and provide their comments to us. Then within 60 days, we have to decide whether their plan meets all of the requirements for approval. If we say no, we kick it out and we send it back to them. If we are ready to approve it, the board has to approve a resolution saying that we approve this plan, and then we will submit that to the Metropolitan Council. Once we approve, the LGU 20 days to then approve their local water management plan. We're basically going to be approving the draft. And then after that, they then have 180 days if they have to do any additional official controls updates. So let's say maybe they have to update some of their ordinances to meet the requirements of their new plans. So just wanted to give you that update. So I have a few questions, some clarifying questions in Metropolitan Council, exactly how some of the logistics are actually going to work here. And we will likely need to kind of increase our budget line item for LGU plan reviews for 2027, 2028. I would expect that we might start seeing some things next year.
Are the cities and counties, are they updating their comprehensive plans at the same time as well?
Right. The local water management plans are going to be part of their comprehensive plans.
Okay.
So they basically, those plans are really looking at years. And so you'll see their plans in 2030, and it's a plan looking out to 2050. We do our plans, we only look out 10 years. The comprehensive plans, you look out 20 years.
Sure. And I know cities and counties, and I presume we as well, are legally required to take these actions, correct? The law says they can
yes,
compel us to do that.
Yes, there were, in the email I received from the Met Council, there were state statutes referenced. I chose not to bore you with those, but
Sure.
Yes, it is legally required to do this.
And so my recollection is, from a city perspective, we could be talking about $100,000 to $200,000 to update a comprehensive plan. And I noticed I was going to ask you the question. Any idea of what it's going to cost us to update our plan
Again,
through this process?
we're in the cycle, so we're not going to update our plan At the same time, everybody else is updating theirs. Ours is going to be just a little later.
Okay.
So really, the cost to to increase our budget is really for staff time, engineering time, to help us do the reviews of the other plans that are being submitted to us, to make sure, to review their plans, make sure they're consistent with our plan, and go through the review process.
It's more and more complex. It has to be if these plans are going to be meaningful.
We want them all to be in sync.
Questions at all?
More to come, I'm sure.
Yes, so sometimes we have hired an outside person that's experienced with these areas to help us review it. Is that something we would? Do you feel we have the staff that has the time and skill to do it?
We'll have to look into that, Manager Markenberg, whether we have the capacity. Certainly, we're going to want to reach out to the district engineer to help us with review of some of this, and whether we feel that we have the capacity and the expertise to do the rest of it, or whether we need to bring in additional help. We'll have to evaluate that here in 2026 so that we're ready for the budget proposal in 2027.
I know from a city perspective, more often than not, they will sub to a private contract, because those aren't skills and abilities and time that the city staff have. They look at, city staff looks a little bit more at the here and now with some view out there, but generally it takes a contractor to get the job done.
And I personally also believe it's a very important area to review and be up to date on, because I think there's a fairly high that we can run into problems with water management, given our climate changes that we are seeing. So it's probably good to have it reviewed again and ready as much as we can.
Right. So I mean, once again, doing other, the City of Prior Lakes plan, the City of Shakopee's plan, the City of Swift's plan, their local water management plans. I'm not exactly sure how the townships play into this, and that's my question into the Met Council. And I want to mention, whoops, I'm going the wrong way. Yeah, please. Keep going back. Right. So once again, the Met Council, they've been spending the last 3-4 years already developing their big vision for the 7-county metro area that they call Vision 2050. So that's like looking 2030, 2050. And they have a subcomponent here called their water policy plan. So they're going to be looking at those plans that the cities submit to see how they're complying with the overall regional vision for water management. Concurrently, while we're looking at it to see, do these local plans align with our plan as well? And then after all the cities kind of get done with their comp plan, then ours is dated, our plan, if you've noticed, go back one, our plan is dated 2020 to 2030. So by 2030, we'll have to have our next plan of 2030 to 2040. But our plan is actually going to be after we review everybody else's. And I had come forward a couple of months ago and saying, do we want to up our plan? And at that point, I decided, let's keep our plan for the full length, but it's already there.
Other questions at all? Okay, are we done?
We are done.
With that? Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Our next agenda item is 4.2. It's a permit 25.03 Northwoods Area Street Utility Improvements, and this is a voting item.
All right, so managers, the City of Prior Lake is brought forward a permit application to the Watershed District to do quite a bit of road reconstruction on the west side of Upper Prior Lake. The road in black are the portions of the roadways, a number of cul-de-sacs and streets that are included in phase one of this project. The total, there will be 3 phases of all the road construction, basically going from County Road 82 on the north to Spring Lake Drive, I believe it is, just on the north side of Spring Lake. So in the next year or 2, you will see additional projects coming forward from the city to finish the construction of these roadways. Current phase 1 of the project is going to impact almost 13 years of existing improvements. The project will be comprised of about acres of reconstructed roadway, almost 10 acres of rehabilitated or milled impervious roadways, and actually 4/10 of an acre of removed impervious surfaces in the project. This project is going to trigger four of the watershed district's rules. So the first rule it's going to trigger is Rule C, our general standards. And so basically, this rule applies to pretty much any land disturbing activity, whether that's actually there's a permit or not. And it's basically, this rule is saying that the project will comply with best management practices and try to minimize and protect water resources in the environment. Some of the kind of the components of this rule is that, you know, land disturbing activity should impacts, that they should also protect adjacent properties and water bodies, that the district prefers designs that use surface drainage, vegetation, and infiltration rather than buried man-made materials and facilities. The next rule is stormwater management. So this rule kicked in because it is a public linear project and an incorporated that creates 10,000 more of reconstructed impervious surface. So as I said earlier, this project has about 2.5 of reconstructed impervious surfaces that require stormwater treatment per Rule D. So this project's in a very constrained corridor and really provides limited opportunities for them to do their required stormwater management. Oh, good gracious, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. So where are we? So with that, because they're in a constrained roadway corridor, alternative measures that the city is proposing to do with this is, once again, to decrease the amount of impervious surfaces by 4/10 of an acre. They're also going to install 4-foot sumps and saffle baffles in all of the catch basins that drain to Mud Bay and to the wetland that's located west of Fremont Avenue. They're also utilize about 1,600 feet of stormwater volume credits that are available to the city. So you may remember last year that the city constructed a large iron-enhanced sand filter just near the McDonald's area. And previous to that, the city kind of had an IOU for us to do stormwater treatment. They owed some credits to the city that they couldn't meet in previous projects. So with that construction of the iron-enhanced sand filter, they kind of wiped out their IOU and then established a credit of about 46,000 cubic feet of additional credits to use on projects just like this. So they're proposing to use about 10 at 4,600 of that 46,000 IOU to meet the requirements for this project. Now, in the next future phases, though, we are going to ask the city that they need to look at those phases and if there are ways to implement stormwater features in those next 2 phases, that they do so. Erosion, so the next rule is Rule E, erosion and sediment control. So more than 10,000 square feet of land, and therefore it includes some proposed erosion and sediment control plans in the construction documents that appear to adequately manage the stormwater runoff and prevent erosion. So that is all looking good. And then finally, it triggers Rule H, bridge and culvert crossing. So the project proposes to alter a culvert along a watercourse with a tributary area in excess of 100 acres. So what that is there is a culvert under Fremont Avenue, right here where my cursor is, and water from Arctic Lake flows down the channel and then enters Mud Bay at this location. And the city is proposing to upgrade the culvert from a 36-inch pipe to a 42-inch pipe to reduce future flood risk. And the important part of this for us is actually the culvert that is on the Mud Bay side of this culvert. So here's a picture of the existing grate on the Mud Bay side of that culvert. And what you can see are right there are a whole bunch of carp that are trying to swim up Arctic Lake to do their spawn. But because we have a barrier here, they're not allowed to do that. So as part of this project, the Watershed District agreed to design a new grate for the upsized culvert. We're fabricating, we're providing it to the contractor for installation on the new culvert. And the city has agreed to reimburse for the cost of grate fabrication. So the engineer has reviewed all of the construction documents and is recommending a conditional approval of the permit pending receipt of several items, just a revised stormwater pollution and prevention plan, some additional data on a wetland control structure near Fremont Avenue, just to make sure that the new construction will not cause any negative impacts. We would need to receive a performance security from the contractor in the amount of $33,000 and $200, and then just a copy of their NPDES permit and final signed construction plans. So with that, the three options here. First option is to approve the application subject to the conditions noted in the permit application and staff review comments. To table this item, extend the application to a future specified date within approximately another 60 days, and provide the applicant the direction on the issues you have that you would like to further address, or to deny the application and stating the reason for denial. So staff recommends approval of permit application 25.03, subject to the conditions noted in the permit application and staff review comments.
Board members, you have a copy of 2503 in your packet there. Any questions? Would anyone like to move the permit for approval? Well, for one of the three options.
Yes, I would move to approve at 2503 Northwood Area Street and Utility Improvement, subject to the condition in the permit application. And
Okay, Manager Morkenberg, and second, Manager Burnett. Any further questions or discussion on this item?
Nope.
Don't see any. All those in favor of issuing the permit, signify by saying aye.
aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Silence. Any idea of how long the project will take, the first phase? This looks like an enormous problem for transportation, that's the main roadway around the north side of the lake, or I guess the west side of the lake, I should say.
We have Luke Swartz here, assistant city engineer, and maybe he can provide that answer.
Would you please? I'm suspecting there might be some people listening that go, ah. Sure, would you please?
The project is expected to start in April, and I think the cutoff date is at the end of October. So it'll take the whole year. There's different moving parts. There's reconstruction, mill and overlay, and reclamation on it. So we'll kind of do those in different phases, but phases within phase one. So
The intent is to keep access to houses and that sort of things, and egress,
yep,
at the extent that's totally,
yep, exactly.
okay. All right, Luke, any further questions? Thank you,
Thank you.
sir. So we've acted, did we not? Yes, we did. All right, next item is 4.3, authorization to issue a quotes for the PLOX North Channel Enhancement.
Yeah, so the PLOC Segment 1 North Channel Enhancement is a bank stabilization and enhancement on PLOC Segment 1. There is a map on the right. You can see circles in the project areas. So there are 2 areas within Segment 1, and there's actually a small repair in Segment 4 as well. This Segment 1 area is the last major section of the PLOC to need to be stabilized. This work was included in the PLOC Cooperators 2026 work plan. We had a scope of service DOR for design approved in August as well by the board. Cooperators, the technical advisory committee reviewed the final plans without any comment. And then I just want to clarify roles a little bit. So the board's role is to contract for design and plan preparation, approve plans, and seek bids and as well as to award and execute contracts. The PLOC cooperator's role is to approve the work plan and then to review and comment on plans. So we've fulfilled those roles. So the plan would be to send out a request for quotes to 18 contractors, and then it would come back to the board on February 17th to award a contract. And then projects substantially complete is planned for September 15th. So that's kind of the timeline. So today we are recommending board motions to authorize the issuance of request quotes for the PLOC Segment 1 North Channel Enhancement with any further substantive changes on advice of engineering and legal counsel.
Questions by members of the board?
I move to authorize the staff to request quotes for the PLOC 1 segment enhancement.
Motion by Manager Zuckerberg, second by Manager Burnett. Any further discussion or questions?
Nope.
Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same. Here we go each time here. That's good. All right. Next item is 5 and 5.1 and our variety of financial reports. Mr.
Yes, thank you very much. So our financial report here is a draft of the year-end financial report, and we'll keep updating as more data come in, and have our final report in March before we get our annual audit. Overall, our finances are standing and under budget. Our administrative expenses are at 99% of budget at the end of the year. There are some areas that are over budget, salaries and benefits, where we overlap 2 administrative assistants to ensure there was transition. So that was about 12,000. And we also paid a little bit more for office supplies, 1,000 to new computers that was needed. And our legal fees were a bit more expensive at 3,000. Again, important areas. The implementation fund is at 55% of the annual budget, and we're still waiting for the Scott Soil and Water Conservation District later billings to come in. And also there are some construction costs for this Swamp Lake iron filter that are still reflected. There are also a number of budgeted construction projects that have been postponed to 2026 and beyond. So we did receive our second half of the year tax remittance in December which replenished our cash funds. Also, you will see next month here how we, in December, decided to revise the committed funds so that to allow, among other things, to have cash available for the big money projects that we have coming here in 2026. Most importantly is the alum treatment of Prior Lake, but also the funding for the Prior Lake outlet channel. So for that reason, we are maintaining a large cash amount right now to be able to pay for these expenses. When you look at the cash flow statement where we are projecting into 2026, what our cash flow looks like, right now it goes 6 months out, and next month, I believe it is, we're going to extend it out into the full 2000, project our cash flow there. Most of our, we spent the money on 82% of the expenditures were associated with programs and projects, and then into that, many of the administrative expenses there are obviously very related to our projects. Overall, that looks very reasonable. So overall, I say our good financial statement.
Thank you. Questions at all? All right, and we don't approve these, we simply review.
Thank you.
Well done, thank you very much. Consent agenda, do we ever have a consent agenda? We got different items on here, and it's, as I said, this is the first meeting of the year, and so there are a number of appointments that are made the first meeting of the year that last the entire year long. And why don't I whip through them real quickly here? We've got the meeting minutes, the board both on their December 16 workshop meeting. We have claims list and bank purchase card expenditures. And by the way, we've got a revised copy that each received. We had a balance there that just had to be tweaked. We've got 2026 board officer appointments, 2026 board liaison appointments, a schedule of 2026 regular meetings, so all of us can make them, a schedule of the 2026 CAC meetings, and a schedule of the CAC members. Thank you for your service, folks. CAC lines, there's a revision, as I recall. It was really the reduction of one paragraph. It was a minimum size of the CAC subcommittee, as I recall. See? I just looked for the red, and I can actually see red sometimes. We have our official newspaper for the year 2026, which we must do. Also, selecting our district depository banks and our investment summary. Is there someone who would like to move the consent agenda?
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Burnett and Morkenberg. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. So we're good there. Next item left is upcoming meetings and events schedule for January. We have Conservation and Ag Recognition event Wednesday, January 28, noon to 2 p.m. It says that the RSVP window is closed. Does that mean you can't go? If you signed up at maximum.
Not large numbers. There's flexibility, but yes, the venue asked us to provide numbers for lunch, so that window has closed. If you missed it and you were really dying to go, please reach out to info@plslwd.org.
Okay, very good. CAC meeting is Thursday, January 29, 6 p.m. here at Wagon Bridge Conference Room. Board of Managers workshop for February is Tuesday the 17th, beginning at 4 p.m. And by the way, if you were here for the workshop tonight, there was none. We decided that with only 3 members, it would be more useful use of resources just to cancel that one. And so February 17 will be extra heavy here. That, by the way, is Parkview Conference Room. And finally, Board of Managers meeting Tuesday, the 17th of February, a.m., right here. Nothing left, adjournment. And I guess we move in second and vote.
Motion to adjourn.
Look at that. Why didn't I get a chance to participate? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned at 6:52.
Good job.